420 is an unofficial holiday to celebrate marijuana, which brings us here to Washington Square Park in New York City. To get a grasp of the culture, we want to find out who's smoking, how you get the pot, and should it be legalized. Okay, so we're talking about marijuana, so I'm going to come right out and ask, do you smoke pot?
Yes.
Yes? Is it hard to get?
No.
Where do you get your pot from?
Sources that I have, I'm not a medical marijuana user, so, this is personal use. Where I get it from, I would not tell you because
I'd reveal my sources, right?
I mean, it's not legal, right? So neither was alcohol at one time, so my answer to your question is yes.
And how hard is it to get? I mean, we've seen people here walking around with doobies in their hands. Is it easy to get?
In New York,
Yeah.
in general? Yeah, sure. I mean, we as human beings, when we have a desire for something, no matter what it is, if it's something that we like that makes us feel good, we're going to do whatever it is to get that pleasure center satisfied. If the government was to go ahead and just make it legal, I mean, look how much money they're going to make on it. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know how many Americans smoke it. I do know that most of the people that I associate with do or have. I know that it doesn't cause you to be sick or anything like that. It doesn't cause you to turn into a wolf when you don't have it and rob and pillage and steal from people. So it's used medically for many reasons, and I think that New Yorkers are liberal, and I think that New Yorkers have spoken up and made it quite clear that they wouldn't mind it being legal. I think that's the next step. I think that will happen. I think it will happen throughout the country as well. I just think it's going that way. The money, there's just too much money involved for it not to be.
Sir, I have to ask, do you smoke marijuana?
No, I used to though.
And now we're in Washington Square Park. It kind of seems like a fun hangout. I've seen some people walking around with doobies. Do you think it's easy to get around the streets of New York City?
I believe so. People approach me, or there's drug dealers presumably here.
And how do they approach you? What do they say?
Yo,
you want some dope?
yeah, you just it's a lot of body language. They just know after the initial yo that I'm not interested.
Now, we are also talking about the legalization of marijuana. It's still illegal in New York City. What's your stance?
Should remain illegal, yes.
Should remain illegal. And why?
Yeah, I mean, it is so. Even though I did smoke it, it is somewhat of a gateway to other drugs, and I don't think people should smoke it when they're that young. It's okay to smoke later on, but I don't think any drug should be legal.
And you think it's a gateway? What makes you believe that? Did you use other drugs after trying it?
Yeah, but I experimented. I mean,
And do you think it was because you were smoking marijuana that it kind of gave you that tap in the water of drugs?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. It may be, but I'm not a drug addict.
He's not a drug addict. So your message, don't smoke weed every day, right?
Well, I don't know. I just don't think it should be illegal. I mean, you can smoke it. I mean, it's not the worst thing you can do. You know what I mean? I've experimented with various drugs and all because, I go back to the, the 70s when things were a little different.
Yeah.
I don't know how things are now. The last time I took a hit of marijuana was on Jerry Garcia's death. I remember it was a Sunday. I took a few hits at, it was the John Lennon Memorial, in Central Park,
Yeah.
right. And it was this Sensimilla shit. And the thing of marijuana, once you get it into your system, it never leaves,
Yeah.
right? It's water soluble, so it stays in your brain. So I took a few hits off the Sensimilla, and I was so fucking wasted, man. I didn't think I was going to make it home. Really, I was thinking of just...
What happened? Your mind just played tricks on you and you just went to this crazy place?
Smoking because it turned my brain to cream cheese. It was no longer a nice high. It would just turn my brain to complete and utter fucking mush. And I just cannot function on it. So I took a few hits of the Sensimilla, and I'm thinking like, oh my God. Should I go to an emergency room? Should I turn myself into the police?
You got super paranoid, didn't you?
Yeah, really, exactly. So I thought, okay, just breathe and put one step in front of one foot in front of the other, and eventually you'll make it home. And I did. And I was like wasted for fucking days. It took me days to come off of that.
There you go, kids. Listen up. It'll turn your brain to cream cheese.
Marijuana is in my fucking head. So,
Okay, boys, NYU kids. Now you're here in the park. We're getting wafts of marijuana as we sit here. But do you guys smoke pot?
Occasionally, yeah. As a stress reliever, I do.
Stress reliever? What's stressing?
School, living in this city. It's a fast-paced city life. Sometimes you just got to relax and, kick back.
How big is marijuana part of the culture of college and studying? Is it as big as everyone thinks it is?
Yeah, I'd say 70%.
I think it's actually becoming increasingly integrated into the culture, because I think it used to be more of a taboo thing, but now it's becoming more and more mainstream. And so, we always joke around that when we have kids, we're going to be having, we're going to smoke a J with dinner with our spouse, because now our parents, they have a glass of wine with dinner, but I think that's going to become the commonplace thing then. I mean, I don't know though, but I think it's becoming more and more integrated, and legally it's becoming more integrated into our culture, because more and more it's becoming either legalized or decriminalized. So.
And you speak about this openness of having a joint with your significant other and children, but do your parents know you smoke?
I mean, they know that it's common here. Obviously I haven't told them personally, I smoke, because again, there's that generation gap.
Now's your chance. Tell them.
Hey mom, I hope they don't
I
stop
smoke weed, mom. Do you think it's easier for kids to get weed as opposed to getting alcohol?
I think it depends. I think it's harder to find people to sell you weed, but you could get it from your friends just as easily. I think, yeah.
And walking around the park, we've seen some people smoking some blunts, and other people have pointed out drug dealers. Has anyone ever come up to you and approached you and tried to sell you drugs?
Yeah, but they're like funny about it. Like, it's not like shady or creepy anymore. They're just like, they'll like open their jacket and be like, greens, and I'm like,
So they actually show you the marijuana.
yeah.
And what's your stance on the legalization?
Honestly, I think it should be legal, just because I think there's so many people who get arrested for it, and the government shouldn't be wasting their money on people who are, getting caught for marijuana. I think they should be cracking down on the more dangerous drugs such as heroin or cocaine, and they shouldn't be focusing or prioritizing marijuana.
I have to say that when we put our cameras down today, people got a little more candid, but it's a very open culture. People were willing to tell us where they got their marijuana, if they smoked, and their stance on legalization. Yes, the drug is still illegal, but here in Washington Square Park, you wouldn't even know it. I'm Sally Turner for IB Times TV.